unbelievable variety. If you go to the different fundraisers I held in primaries, you'll see the economic diversity. We went to Bill Sullivan's home. Where's Bill? Is Bill still here? Where's Bill? Bill Sullivan. Well, he was here. He's got an 80-acre ranch right next to me. You're in the timber belt. Then we went to Perry Creek. And then we went to Pleasant Valley. We went to Pollock Pines. We went to Shingle Springs. If you take a look at El Dorado County, we have everything from growth to agricultural issues, to timber issues, to tourism, to recreation. We have one of the most spectacular counties, I think, in California and in the United States of America. It's just an absolutely gorgeous place to live, and we should be proud of where we live. I want to say a couple of things about people that have been helping me in the campaign. And like I said in the primaries, and I'll reiterate, that my campaign first started at home, and it started with a discussion with the person that's the most important person in my life, and that's my wife. And Jennifer and I discussed it, and we decided to go 100%, and she is definitely my #1 supporter, and I'll tell you what, she motivates me every day. She kicks my butt out of bed and gets me on the campaign trail, and I just want to tell you, Jennifer, thank you very much. Why don't you come on up here? Now, the gentleman that has that joined my campaign, because typically our campaigns don't hire consultants out of Sacramento. Believe me, those of you that are politically aware, I'm under a lot of pressure right now to hire a high-priced consultant out of Sacramento. I have chosen not to do that. Running for the Board of Supervisors and the awesome responsibility of running the county with 4 other members is truly a blessing that comes with a lot of responsibility. It depends on what the issue is and what business endeavor there is. People can make potentially a lot of money on the decision of the Board of Supervisors. And so folks that are interested in who gets elected to the Board of Supervisors want you to hire, quote unquote, the best that's out there. And I feel that the man that is helping me was born and raised in this county. He has experience at the state capitol. He loves this county. He's going to spend the rest of his life in this county. He was schooled here. And he joined my campaign because he believed in my dream of keeping El Dorado County economically diversified, to have an economy that's not just based on housing, just not based on agriculture, that values open space for its tourism opportunities, its recreational opportunities, its wildlife opportunities, all of these things that bring us to El Dorado County and want to live here. And Dan shares that concept with me, and he is not a high-paid consultant. He lives in Audubon Hills in Camino, and I want to thank you, Dan Dillinger, for helping me in my campaign. Dan, now, Dan put this event together with my wife, and he called Assemblyman Ted Gaines, and Ted Gaines is supposed to be here, and that's why I've waited to speak. But we're hoping that he'll make it here. He knows this district real well. I hope he's not lost. He is a 5th-generation individual that got elected to the Board of Supervisors of Placer County, and he's here to speak on my behalf because he has endorsed me as a prior county supervisor of Placer County. And I will tell you that Placer County has a little job that goes up into the Sierra, but the majority of their land falls in the Roseville, Lincoln area, and their issues are similar, but different. And the difference is that their land use issues, being closer to Sacramento where it bubbles out there, is more dynamic, more controversial. Our growth issues are along the 50 corridor in the El Dorado Hills Shingle Springs area. As they filter up into the Sierra, they have like a little elbow that goes up all the way into the Tahoe Basin. So they just have a sliver of land where we have the majority of our land base, which is in natural resources, in agricultural areas, and in timber country. More than half of El Dorado County, of the 1.2 million acres that make up El Dorado County, more than 50% of it is owned by the people of the United States of America, managed by the El Dorado Amador National Forest. We have a tremendous relationship with those folks, and we're doing some, the county and the National Forest are doing some good things with their planning. Some of it's controversial, but I'll tell you that a lot of the folks that visit these wineries come to enjoy not only the wineries, but the magnificence of the Sierra, the opportunity to have a day drive up into Tahoe. And so what the wineries do in El Dorado County, and I got to tell you that there's two folks here that had to work diligently on this controversial issue. And I've always admired both of these folks. And they did a great job, and you've got to take your hats off to these two folks, because when I wanted agricultural districts and 20-acre minimums, and the winery industry and the agricultural industry said, hey, look, we can't be subdividing 5-acre parcels everywhere in the county because the roads wouldn't handle it. The traffic model showed that Pleasant Valley Road had to go to 4 lanes. Could you imagine the cost of that all the way to Holiday Market? So as a result, we came up with alternative economic engines in 1993 and 1994, and the direction was to the Ag Commission was, look, we've got to come up with a process that encourages agriculture in El Dorado County. And we have 2 gentlemen that put 8 grueling years, because when you're on the Planning Commission, it's nothing but grueling. 8 grueling years on the Planning Commission. I take my hat off to you, John Wolfenton and Tom Mahak. As a result of their effort forwarding to us, the Board of Supervisors, we put 50,000 acres into agricultural areas. That doesn't mean the county's anti-growth. What it means is that we are pro-diversifying our county, which means we value agriculture. At the same time, there's still building opportunity out here. I think there's still, Janine, isn't there over 1,000 parcels still available to be built out here in South County? I'd say Grizzly Flats, there's over 500 vacant parcels alone in Grizzly Flats. So by no means are we in South County going to slow down growth, because by right, you can buy a parcel and build a house on it. But what we're saying as a Planning Commission and a Board of Supervisors is that if it's agricultural land, it's got good choice soils. I think society says we'd rather have agriculture than parcelization, because we're going to have a lot of that already out of these agricultural districts. We have over 300,000 acres of lands that have to be managed in one way or the other. In the timber belt above 3,000 foot in elevation, the Planning Commission dealt with that issue. And in the timber belt, instead of going down to 10-acre parcels, it was 40 to 160-acre parcel opportunity. So what we said in the timber belt is that we value the long-term economic value of fiber production. And so as a result, the timber industry is still going to be the #1 agricultural commodity in El Dorado County. The wine industry has a long ways to go to surpass the timber industry. Even though we're going through tough times, and this is my industry, some of the worst times in the history of California, it is still the #1 cash crop. We're still harvesting, and we're still getting logs to the sawmill. So I would just want to give you a flavor of my experience with El Dorado County and my sense of where I think this county needs to go with regards to the importance of agriculture. I visualize 20 years from now coming into South County. Yeah, there's going to be more. Yes, there's going to be more people, but I visualize more commercial agricultural opportunities. I visualize when I'm an older man, we're going to have a younger generation, and then maybe even a 3rd generation below me if I live so long, my grandkids, working in wineries and maybe a microbrewery or some commercial opportunity that allows some of these ranchers to hold on to their ranches. I visualize a rural area that stays rural, and provides for a lot of economic opportunity. Along the Highway 50 corridor, we're going to have a lot of pressure on growth, and I'm going to tell you that one thing that the rural areas of El Dorado County have to deal with is the fact that there's growth pressures on Highway 50. And the reality is that the ag policies have to stay intact. However, the ag policies that are pushed along the corridor, we do not want to change those policies that affect the ag policies in the northern part of the county and the southern part of the county. So that's going to be a lot of work on the Board of Supervisors to figure that out. And there's a think tank out there, a few of them, that are trying to ponder these issues so that they can help the Board of Supervisors figure out how we keep agriculture strong at the same time when development issues occur along the Highway 50 corridor, that it makes sense. And that the Highway 50 corridor issues should promote communities that are as efficient as possible and that fit well with existing communities. And so that's going to be a very, very big challenge, as John knows and as Tom knows, prior planning commissioners. We've got a new generation of folks that I see out here that have dreams and ambitions of their own. And I know, I look at Rod, and I look at the Augustines, and I look at John Miller, and I look at the next generation following John, Tom and his family, and Mr. Pratt with his family. There's a whole new generation out there that's watching the older folks and see what kind of legacy we're going to leave for these kids. And I've got 4 boys of my own, and we just put him in kindergarten this morning. And my boy was introduced to me as the graduating class of 2021. I darn near fainted. I darn near fainted. I have in this room, as you look around, I think there's over 15 wineries that are represented in this room. Now, visualize the landscape and 15 wineries. Just visualize what you see here. You take a look at the cost of production, which stimulates our economy, the cost to put wine in a bottle, and the effort it takes to get the wine in a bottle is putting our folks to work. Everything from the fields to the bottling to the management to the promotions to the events. It's just an unbelievable opportunity for people to work out in a rural area. Take a look at this winery, times this by 23, and that's where we at, 23 here in South County now, in the Fairplay area, in the Mount Auburn area, 23 times this. Just take a look at how incredibly important this economy is for El Dorado County. I started at 19 years old clearing the first field for Brian Fitzpatrick, Hardy, Dickinson, Gerwer, Shenandoah Valley. I must have cleared personally 150 to 200 acres. John Miller, we were supposed to only do 5 acres. 3 months later, we were at 20 acres. And then that was it. You go to John Miller's off of Fairplay Road, just absolutely gorgeous out there. And John's going to start a winery, hopefully, if everything goes real well. I want to thank the host, the main host of this organization. The owner of this facility, Oakstone, is pouring the wines off over here to the right, and his name is John Smith. John, would you like to say a few words about agriculture in the Fairplay area?
I'd like to reiterate a lot of what Ray said. Ray was on the Board of Supervisors, and in fact, Tom Mayhoff was on the Planning Commission when I applied for my winery, when I wanted to put this in the Williamson Act in 1995 in order to have a winery here in Fairplay. There are only 7 of us there. There are actually 25 now in Fairplay, 6 more being built as we sit here today. So the success of this county has been in agriculture for the last 150 years. As soon as there was no more gold, agriculture was what sustained this county. That's what has to sustain it for the next 150 years. So if we have people like Ray representing us in the Board of Supervisors, we have a wonderful future in agriculture here in El Dorado County.
Thank you, John. My neighbor who came up into Happy Valley, Sauber, Jim, I appreciate you being here. He took a beautiful valley that had a natural landscape, and I will tell you that these folks that run these wineries, they're agriculturalist, and I can't believe the amount of work and how many hours you guys put in every day, and you're not making a ton of money. I'm in the timber business, and my family owns 700 acres worth of land, and on paper, like everybody else that has land, you got a lot of value, but the only way you can experience that value is if you sell it. And once you sell it, you don't have it anymore. And I'm not, and will never, as long as I'm alive, sell my little part of heaven. My fondest dream is that the next generation, my 4 boys, keep that ranch intact, and one of them or 2 of them take it over, and the other 2 can enjoy it by coming to visit or however they want to live their lives. But I also want to say that we have challenges in this room. I've got Art, and I've got Cris, and I've got other folks that are trying to struggle with these policies that I mentioned before, where you have, like we were talking about before, the 10-acre buffer issue. Now, the 10-acre buffer issue makes perfectly good sense in some of these rural areas. It's problematic along the Highway 50 corridor, and that's going to have to be worked through. I'm going to assure you that I'm not going to blow up an agricultural policy county-wide. I think that we need to take a look at those issues on a regional basis. And also, we have to have the ultimate respect for the agricultural districts, and that's why they were created. That was the place, and is the place, where agriculture is going to flourish. And in this part of the county is our largest agricultural district. So we can be pretty proud. We can be pretty proud of that. We're going to have growth. The Board of Supervisors is going to sit. The current Board of Supervisors, every Board of Supervisors since the state recognized El Dorado County in 1852 or 53, every board has been pro-growth. There's no such thing as anti-growth. If somebody campaigns that says they're anti-growth, it's absolutely impossible. The state of California, through the Office of Research and Planning, mandates that every county takes their share, but we have to plan for it. The infrastructure, the services, and all of those things. What I'd like to do is shut up now, let you guys drink some wine, eat some hors d'oeuvres. Hopefully in the next few minutes, Ted Gaines will come, and maybe he'll mingle a little bit, and I'll have him speak. If not, I'll be up to say a few final words. But I want you guys, the winery industry, Greg Boger, thank you for coming all the way up from the Placerville Camino area. Greg owns Boger Winery. He's donated generously to the campaign. I want to say thank you to Oakstone. Now I'm in trouble. DK Sellers. I'm in trouble now because Suburbs. Anyway, Montes, Mitchells, Millers, Taps, Perry Creek. Just goes Windwalker. It just goes on and on. Holly Hills. I knew it. If I said one, I have to say them all. Thank you guys for coming. And we have a prior county agricultural commissioner. He was the department head. It was our board that hired him in 1996. 1993. The first year I came on the Board of Supervisors, a gentleman by the name of Edio Delfino. He came to the Board of Supervisors. I was the youngest supervisor in the history of the county. And he came to the county podium, I think in my second meeting, walked up to the podium and he said, it's time for me to leave. And some of the members asked Edio, well, why is it time for you to leave? And he said, well, when our children grow up to be our bosses, it's time to leave. He came to El Dorado.
What he said was, when my boss wasn't even born the day I came into office 33 years ago, it's time for me to retire.
Edio Delfino struggled with trying to save the agricultural industry in El Dorado County. This is a fantastic historical story of our county. And here is how it goes. There was a pear famine, and the crop was almost completely destroyed. In Apple Hill, and the agriculturalists were trying to figure out how to save that industry. And a handful of folks, the Bismans, the Delfino, Dick Bethel, Bolster, all of these agricultural families got together and tried to figure out how are we going to survive in El Dorado County when our crop has started to diminish and almost completely gone away. And what they came up with was the thought of Apple Hill, the marketing of Apple Hill. And it grew, and it grew, and it grew. And Eddie Delfino tells a story about being on Highway 50 with signs and painting the roads. Can you imagine being on Highway 50 now with signs and painting on the roads arrows and showing the tourists are trying to get folks off Highway 50 to come to Apple Hill? Now you see Apple Hill, how it's grown, and that's an agricultural district also, and it comes with its own unique challenges. Apple Hill is unique in many ways, and what works in Apple Hill probably is not going to work in this agricultural district. It's not going to work in the Garden Valley agricultural district, so it's got its own unique history and its own unique set of problems, which I think we're going to have a board that's going to definitely deal with that issue in a responsible way. And Bill, I'd like you to come up and say a couple of words about agriculture, if you would. And this is past our former county commissioner, agricultural commissioner, Bill Snodgrass.
Thank you, Ray. I'm looking forward to having Ray back on the board. He hired me 15 years ago, so I don't know if that's good or bad, but whatever. Ray understands what agriculture is, and he's always been a strong supporter. We've had some board members that have gone through since Ray's been on the board that have not been supportive of agriculture. Ray will start from day one knowing what to do and why the ordinances and ranch marketing ordinance and winery ordinance are there. He was the one that instigated and was the strongest supporter in 1996 of creating a winery ordinance. Your wineries were covered under the ranch marketing ordinance. What he said earlier was, they're different from Apple Hill. You have different things going on. You're selling wine year round. You want to have different wine promotion events. Ray understood that and pushed to have the winery ordinances so you could have those things done. And you could do them by right, not have to go down and spend $3,000 for a sneaking special use permit. And Ray will take and follow through with that. And he can take, and that's one of the problems we have with the planning department is they want to charge you for everything. Ray understands what the history of it is. He understands you are small business people. You need to make a buck. You're not here to take and have the open space for everyone just to look at and you pay for the venue. You're a small business person. You're just the same as a hardware store down there. You need to make $1. And the government steps in and starts charging these exorbitant fees for doing different activities, whether it's at Apple Hill, up over there at Rainbow, or up here doing different things with OSO and things like that. Ray understands that. I'm looking forward to him bringing some common sense back into that part of it. So,
all right, thank you, Bill. Also, before I stand down, I want to say one thing. We have a gentleman in the room that is the last of the Mohegans, and I'm honored. It's the first time he's come, although he's contributed generously to my campaign. He's the last of the Mohegans. He's the last resaw sawmill in California. The Pimentel family goes way back in history. They've been sawmill people from the 1850s, 1920s. They've had sawmills up in Camino. Now he has the last resawn sawmill left in El Dorado, and he has a whole host of problems that he has to deal with because of a new mindset and new regulations. And Rod, I want to say thank you for putting those hundreds and if not thousands of people to work, you and your father and your grandfather, all of those mills and all of that lumber and all of what you do really have helped a lot of folks in our county. And I want to say thank you, Rod, very much. So with that, I want to let you guys drink and have some more d'oeuvres. Hopefully Ted will show up here, and if not, I'll say a few more words around 7:15, 7:20. So thanks everybody for showing up, and I have about 6 volunteers, so thank them while you're drinking and eating. Thank you.